Fertility questions.
Yeah,
and I'm going live on Instagram. I don't know. It's a kind of a weird day.
That's a good day.
Hello, everyone. Dr. Rob Kiltz, how you doing? Hope you guys can all hear me adequately. I got Don Clarke here with me today. We're sharing ways to improve your fertile journey, both Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Let me know if the Instagram team is able to hear Donald clearly enough and that you're able to hear and listen to all of us. But I'm proud to have my good friend, Don Clarke, a licensed acupuncturist, herbalist, to share his life energy of lifestyle while on this fertile human journey. Welcome, Don, and maybe you tell us a little bit about yourself and how at our CNY Healing Arts and CNY Fertility you've been an integral part of our team.
Well, thank you, and it's an honor to be here. Let me scoot a little closer. This is, life is a journey, right? And so I have been journeying on it for quite some time now. And I met Dr. Kiltz some time ago, almost 15 years ago. And we both had the same idea when it came to well-being. And that's where our journey started together. And, I've been an acupuncturist for, close to 25 years, it seems. Well, it has been close to 25 years. And every day is a new day, because every situation or every day is new, every person is new, everyone's issues are new. So it's not like it's a reoccurring journey, right? It's not like you're on a journey and it's just one path. It's many paths, right? And everybody has many things to talk about. And so in my journey as an acupuncturist, I've found that listening and responding are the best approaches, right? So mostly everyone wants to be heard, right? So we listen to everybody. And as a highly trained acupuncturist, you're trained in observation. So we learn so much about you and the situation just by observing. And so that's where our journey is. My journey is mostly observing and listening and treating.
So maybe that's part of Western medicine's problem. We maybe talk too much and we don't listen and observe enough. And I know quite often, because I'm ADHD OCD and I like to jump in because I've been trained in the Western world of jumping in and thinking I know the answers. And quite often I'm answering before I've listened enough to get to know that answer. And so what's the difference between your Eastern training and our Western training, do you think?
Well, obviously there's quite a bit of difference, right? One being technical, one more being more a bit practice oriented, such as practicing art, right? It's an art skill. And everything that you all do is an art skill as well. But I would say the biggest difference is that maybe we look for the subtleties. And say in Western medicine, you look for the acute, big problems. We are traveling to the root of the symptom. So most of the time, if somebody comes in, they present with a complaint, a chief complaint, and we address that chief complaint. But at the same time, we're also looking past that chief complaint to the root and why you have that symptom. So we're taking it deeper. We're taking into consideration chi, energy, lifestyle, thought process, intention. So we're looking at all of that and where the disharmony might actually be in the root cause.
Where did you do your training and what inspired you to go into the acupuncture world?
Sure. I went to college. I was studying pre-med. I found it was the best all-around education. Gave me lots of opportunities, and I fell out of a tree, and I ripped a tendon in my wrist. And my wrist atrophied into a club, and I couldn't even use a pen. So I went and I talked to a surgeon, and he was going to fix my wrist for me. It was very obvious. A sheath had ripped off a tendon in my wrist, and the wrist atrophied, and it was going to be repaired surgically. I was fine with that. A couple weeks before the procedure, a friend of mine said, why don't you try my acupuncturist? I said, oh, okay. I don't know much about it, but I will try it. And I went to see the gentleman, and he treated my hand, he treated my wrist, and I could open my wrist and wiggle, wiggle my fingers that day. And so I said, what? There's something to this. It's and I wanted to learn about it. So I applied to a university in the Northwest, Seattle Bastyr University, and that is where I started my acupuncture journey. And that was some time ago.
So I broke a leg that got me to go to medical school because I was thinking about art and maybe business. And so you fell off out of a tree that went from the medical Western side and brought you to the Eastern side, right?
That's correct. That is correct.
Yulia asked a question: can acupuncture reverse scar tissue, which maybe cause azoospermia? What are your this idea that it's like a needle, or and I'll get to this also. Acupuncture seems to be all needles, which are people are run away from a needle. How does it even work to remove whatever scar tissue that was causing your problem or damage, and how can it actually help azoospermia?
Well, a few ways. First of all, there are areas in the body in which you can needle with acupuncture, and there's areas of the body where you shouldn't needle with acupuncture. So in general, depending on how long the scar tissue has been there developing, kind of depends on the success of removing scar tissue. So if the scar tissue is relatively new and it's building, then we're very good at breaking it down, preventing it from forming even more. Now, if it's old scar tissue and it's been around for quite a while, it's quite dense. Well, then that's another obstacle, and it's the results aren't as good.
But chi and energy, maybe you could talk a little bit about that. And there's a little conversation about Zen and what is Zen, what is chi?
Sure.
How do you learn about these? What do you learn is the core of these ideas?
Sure. Well, when it comes to energy and chi and Zen, I'll break it down into two different parts. We'll start with energy. So energy is everything around us, right? Like everything is composed of some sort of an energetic bond. And we're full of energy, right? One good example I like to give is that we conduct and move through static electricity, right? So we take a blanket out of the dryer, we give it a good shake, and zap. That's because there's energy moving between two bodies. And so you have to understand it's everywhere. And so when, there's lots of teachings on energy, and then there's just you and I and how we go through life and how we eat. We get, you can get energy from food, right? So proper nutrition, and that's going to build up your energy, right? We have no energy if we don't eat, right? So you need to eat, and you can poison yourself by eating the wrong things, and that just decreases your energy, because now your whole system, and depending on how toxic it is, your whole family unit is, sorry, I'll try to get centered here, is now toxic from the wrong foods, right? So so there's energy from food, but the energy that I really like to talk about, and it really affects me the most, is the energy that I take in from the air, right? My surroundings. And I know people that live in the Northeast specifically for the four seasons, and the chi that comes in with every season. And so there's lots of different chis. And there's exercises in which you can harness that chi and harness that energy and move it into your body. And then with eating correctly, healthy foods, that's gonna enforce it. So there's lots of different ways to get energy. Exercise, and when I mean exercise, I mean like yoga, stretching, walking around the pond, walking around the lake, going out, singing, laughing, that kind of exercise. Not headphones, knee socks, head weights, not that kind, right? And so, in
The
Zen,
gerbil
Zen,
energy,
yeah, that's not, if
or
you're naturally,
the wheel, right. But we're getting on the wheel, the rat race, right?
yeah.
And so, what? Tell me a little bit about the chi energy is in the soul of all of us. And you mentioned about static electricity, which is really just energetic particles always moving, right? And they're always moving from molecule to molecule, and we're just a mass of molecules that we don't even understand those molecules very well, but we do make up a very good story about it. As an acupuncturist lifestyle, you talked a little bit about food. Maybe you could talk a little bit about your concepts and ideas. And we all may have different concepts and ideas, and that's the beauty of this universe. What are the type of things that you share with your clients?
Sure. When I talk about lifestyle and food, obviously I take the approach as to where they are at. Being, do they eat regularly? Do they eat keto? Do they eat Mediterranean? Are they vegetarian? Are they vegan? Where are they? And depending on where they are, I kind of gently suggest specific foods. But personally, I have found that eating less, eating cleaner, and eating higher fat keto is much more beneficial than the average diet lifestyle in this country, right? Because, and I know everyone has their own journey when it comes to food, and it's a brilliant, sensitive topic. And we have families and other people that around us that eat the way they want to eat. So I know it's challenging, but I do encourage people to eat simple, light, heavy, dense foods, meat, fat, but I encourage them to eat not a lot. There's a lot of research, there's a lot of papers, a lot of study, and a lot of practical knowledge that shows that people, when they eat less, they do better. It's true, and you see that with, and not to be rough or brisk, but you see it in agriculture, you see it in horticulture, you see it in livestock, you see it in growing vegetables. The less nutrition, but right amount, you get a much healthier creature being.
So ancient spiritual practice is fasting.
Yeah.
And that means not like a window of 8 hours, but likely one meal a day or less. And so this idea that we're coerced to consume through our mass data marketing of buy this, buy that, eat this, eat that, this is healthy, this is healthy, this is healthy. We're inundated and overwhelmed by the data, and our brains get overwhelmed and can't handle it and don't know what to do with it. We get stressed and strained over it. We consume, but the simple process, and that's where I think I've learned from Heather Smith, Donald Clarke, Randine Lewis, Diane Credenza, and so many others, that one thing to do is fasting.
Yeah.
and less is best.
Yeah.
And so that ancient spiritual practice, and again, this is the kid who's the hyperactive, the do, but you mentioned yoga and walking, and what's your personal practice of lifestyle?
You know, it's funny you should ask. I was having this conversation earlier. Two things. One is I pray a little bit more than I used to. So I do a lot of praying, and I pray to all gods, all goddesses, everybody, all the time. There isn't one in my life specifically, and I'm afraid people don't pray enough. And you don't have to pray to one god. You know, you can pray to whomever you want to. And so I pray a lot, and I give thanks more. And so if I can open up my heart more, I feel better, right? So and that goes back to Chinese medicine too. In Chinese medicine, if your heart is open and healthy and clear, your mind is clear. So you can focus better, and you can see the world as it is, and you can see the situation as it is. We're so quick to say it's horrible, but really it's not. It's a beautiful world. And so I pray a lot, and I also, getting back to Zenism, and I try to walk, meditate, right? So I go out, I go through my day in a state of meditation, and I know it sounds crazy, but it might answer a lot of questions to a lot of people as to why is he so spaced out at the time. I'm not spaced.
Walking meditation seems to be the key, that all of us should practice that more than, as you said, the headphones, this whatever the gear is, and the weights, and going like this, and this.
Yeah.
So the one thing in my observation of most acupuncturists or traditional Chinese medicine specialists, would that be the proper
Practitioners, specialists, yes.
They seem to be much calmer than most of us Western practitioners.
They do. Yeah, it's true.
So there's an attractiveness to the mission, and the idea is to someone who is about. And since you started, when did you first become a licensed acupuncturist?
1998 and 99, right around in there.
And so, what changes have you seen in the world of acceptance to the non-traditional ideas? Because it's non-traditional in the Western sense, but it's traditional in the ancient Asian Chinese sense.
That's right. Sure. I've seen great changes. Here I am talking to you. That might not have been possible 30 years ago, right? Because the bridge wasn't built, right? There's a bridge, it wasn't built. And there's been so many bridges built in the last 20, 25 years. And so it has become a conversation, and it has become a modality that has been ushered in to the medical world with great success, great love, and great opening, So we've seen some great progress. I will add, though, there's one thing that I would like to see more of, and I would like to see more money allocated to research. There's still today not a lot of in-depth studies, great in-depth studies in regards to Chinese medicine and yoga and other modalities.
I've always said, I think that where money flows, usually profits are the pushing of the promise of the data. Yeah. And I would say that the one thing I've learned through this Western fertility journey is that often, and I know Dr. Magarelli and Dr. Credenza have done some scientific endeavors. The challenge is with anything is to prove something.
Yeah.
Is our problem, that we often, you experienced it, right? It's experiential. Life is an experience that you must fail, you must stumble, you must hurt in order to grow and learn and create. Without those things, nothing wonderful really happens in life. And so the answers are not in the scientific books, they're in the spiritual texts of life. And that's kind of what I've learned in my melding of Eastern and Western medicine. They're actually not very different. And Dr. Faruqi and I were talking about spirituality and faith and listening to all these things. And the one thing I've learned and know why the Eastern traditional Chinese practitioners, they're so calm, they're so kind, they're so listening. And I know for myself, when I was going through stress and struggles emotionally, even physically and financially, my acupuncturist, my massage therapist, my yoga, and my good friends, Craig Comforty and more, shared with me ideas that were outside of the Western box that helped me more than anything. Because that's why we have these conversations, is because we're learning in the conversation more than we are strictly in the scientific endeavor, right?
100%. Absolutely.
Sonia Bojanowski, if you can only afford acupuncture 1 or 2 times, maybe per month, or is it better before egg retrieval and after, or before and after transfer? What are your thoughts on that? That's a good question.
Well, Sonia, that's a very good question. And again, it depends on you, right? It depends on how your lining is developing. It depends on how your stimming. It depends on how your follicles are developing. So it depends on if it's a frozen transfer, or so it depends on a few things, you know. And if you find that your stimming is a little slower, or you're very, very stressed out in this whole process, then acupuncture before the transfer before the day of the transfer, so before retrieval, is a good idea, right? We want to keep you calm. We want to keep those stress hormones low. We want to let you go into a deep, deep state of relaxation so that you metabolize the stress hormones back in and you're not producing them. So that's going to help. That's going to help your cycle. Now, if you're doing great, everything is perfect, and you're relatively happy with everything, then on the day of the transfer, it's a good time to have acupuncture. I hope that helps.
We do a lot of pre and post the day of the transfer. I mean, you can do acupuncture every day. It's like meditation, prayer, finding something that's worth it. But everything costs something, and physically, financially, emotionally, you have to find the thing that works for you. So individually, you might find that, hey, I can afford 1 or 2 acupunctures during the cycle. Pre and post transfers, probably the best way. We do also massage as an offering. Some people will do chiropractic or meditation and prayer. These are all things that we're finding are valuable. Which is the one? None of us really know that, but I would say that's it. And if you're working to get better eggs, as you said, then as your pre-stim, maybe for 1 to 3 months prior to stimulation, then maybe weekly during the stim. I know there are many others that might recommend more than that. But we're up to find what is sort of feeling right for you. The science is a little squirrely, and sometimes they call most of our science snake oil. We're selling something. How about acupuncture for men, improving sperm function, quality, and sometimes I always say we look at something and we say, oh, it looks normal. That doesn't mean it's not dysfunctional, right?
That's right.
So maybe you could communicate about men.
Sure. Men our fertility issues are as prevalent, I want to say, or as common as women. So we kind of take on our fertility a little different. We keep our stuff inside, right? And that's our downfall. We don't talk about it. We don't open up about it, and so it affects our organ systems a little bit different. Our liver organ systems, for to be exact. And though when I say our liver organ systems, I mean it strictly energetically. We can still have very healthy organ systems, but I'm talking energetically. And so if we start to get sluggish chi, sluggish energy, blood that's starting to slow down, we aren't going to get the blood flow that we need to create healthy sperm cells, right? So we need to make sure we keep our chi and keep our blood stagnation from becoming a problem. And as we all know, sperm takes a little longer to develop, to mature, right? So roughly around 90 days it takes for a sperm cell to become mature and become a healthy sperm cell. And so there's supplements that you can take, right? I tell my patients to take a lot of zinc, and that can help build sperm cell structure, right? And also this is strictly Chinese medicine. You want to have a healthy environment for your sperm cells, right? So you want a lot of seminal emission, right? So you want to have a lot of seminal emission. One thing that can build fluid very rapidly and very quickly is corn, right? Sweet corn, fresh corn, frozen corn, the corn juice, in a can of corn. The essence of the corn is going to build fluid. So, it's not all about the sperm cell itself. As far as Chinese medicine goes, you need to have a healthy environment as well. So we need to keep that in mind also. And so proper nutrition, right? Proper lifestyles, more importantly, do the obvious, right? You want to keep the testes cool. You don't want the testes bunched up or hot. You don't want to be training for a triathlon. You don't want to be spending a lot of time on a bike, right? You don't want to be spending a lot of time in a pool. You don't want to be spending a lot of time in a jacuzzi or a hot water. So you want to keep the environment for the sperm as healthy as you possibly can, the sperm cells and the testes. But at the same time, you want to increase the blood flow. You want to increase the moving of the chi, as well as proper nutrition, right? You want to avoid all the pitfalls, drugs, alcohol, smoking. You want to avoid all that as well, and that's the best thing you can do.
So I would say keep it cooler, stay out of the hot tub, the sauna, slow down, get rid of, stop the exercise, biking, and heating up the body. It's that one meal a day, because the more you fill up the bowels, you fill up the inflammation of the colon. And, I always say, as you say, that it's a high fat. You mentioned keto, essentially high fat. And the supplements, the zinc, the molecular fertility male supplements, we talk a lot about. Something for the guys that might be reasonable to try. Is this the one? There are lots out there. I'm not saying this is the one. And the truth be said about all these things is that the scientific data is not always so straightforward and strong, unfortunately. But you did talk about, we men either we shut down or we lead with our brawn, right?
Yeah.
Rather than our brains of calm. Brawn and brains of calm. And that's one thing I've learned from my good friend Craig Humphrey, Heather Smith, Jennifer Waters, Donald Clarke. It's all about the chi. Now, I was always confused in because you talk about liver energy. And we're used to organ systems in Western medicine, but when you talk about liver energy, you're not even talking about an organ. Tell me what you're talking about when you talk about liver energy.
We're talking about how the energy in our body, it's just like a circulatory system, but it's an energetic circulatory system. And we're talking about how it passes, when it passes through the liver. What kind of response is it getting in that organ system? So we're really not talking about the liver. We're talking about the relationship of the energy with that organ system. So it's not the organ itself. The organ itself is very healthy. If you had liver problems, you would know you had liver problems. We're talking about the energy of it, and so how it moves through that system, how that organ system, the liver, takes it in and sends it out. So that's what when we talk about liver, kidneys, heart, we're talking about its relationship with your body's energy. They're one and the same, but they're separate as well, just like your nervous system to your circulatory.
So in essence, it may not be your organ, but the liver ultimately, you can't live without a liver. You can live without a kidney, or you can live without both kidneys. But live without a liver, so far we haven't figured that one out. But it is that life energy that flows everywhere in one way or another. And do you have any particular stories of patients who have come to you and success has unfolded through the Eastern path?
I do. I have many.
Can you share with us one or two?
Yeah, there's so many, I get lost in them. It becomes this one beautiful story. But there's, I guess I can tell several stories in one story. And many times people will come to me because they are struggling with fertility issues. And it's often something very simple that we're just not used to. We're not taught to look to, or we're not taught to listen to our bodies, or we're so busy that we can't take time to shut down and listen to ourselves. And so oftentimes it's something very simple. In particular, several people have come in the past where they're so tired. They're so tired and they're exhausted. And and upon evaluating or talking to them a little bit, you've come to determine that their energy levels or their chi levels are completely, I don't want to say collapsed, but they're being held up just by the day, right? By your day's food or by your waking energy. And I'm sure you've heard the term, you need to dig deep, or you need to, you need to pull yourself up. You need to dig deep into your reserves. It's true, we need reserves. And so if we're in a constant state of stress or overworked, we're using up everything. We're using up everything just to stay alive and stay functionable. That'll catch up to you. And for the individuals or the spirits that have come in to see me, those particular people have been exhausted. They're like a wilted flower, and it's something simple. All you need to do is teach them simple techniques, redirect their diet a little bit, redirect their lifestyle a little bit, and you'll find that their follicular development, their egg quality just explodes with life, because it's been waiting. It's been there the whole time, and it's just been waiting for the right ingredients. And so I have many stories. I have many, many stories where men and women come in exhausted. They have just a little bit of ingredients that they didn't have before, being acupuncture, breathing techniques, and some dietary advice. And they blossom. They blossom. They have babies. They get pregnant. They're happy. Their lives around them blossom. Their families, their coworkers, their life around them is better. And it's very simple. It's not, very rarely does someone come in and I say, wow, you are really, really a hard case. It's not like that at all. at all. It's, we're here to guide you. We're here to help you. And we're here to remind you that you're a healthy, beautiful person. You just need a little direction and you will blossom.
How about once they're pregnant? What are your general recommendations of acupuncture and TCM post pregnancy?
Sure. Post pregnancy and acupuncture is a great thing. Depending on how your pregnancy is going, right up until your first trimester, generally I will treat people through their first trimester, and right up to 12, 13, 14 weeks, help them with morning sickness, help them with keeping calm. If your heart and your mind are calm, the baby's calm, the uterus is calm, you get better blood flow, right? And then once you're me, now other acupuncturists will treat, and if you want to be treated right through 40 weeks, I'll treat you right through 40 weeks. But mostly people are treated up until their first trimester, and then they move to prenatal massage. Hips are opening, the body's changing, and that's when prenatal massage therapists are really specialized at helping the body open up and develop into the pregnancy. Now once you get into around your due date, if you would like to help with induction, we do that as well, and we can help induce labor on the guidance and approval of your OB, of course.
What's your thoughts on during labor? And is there do you ever go into the labor room and provide acupuncture for pain control and things like that?
That really is kind of a tricky tricky situation, in that sometimes you need privileges, right, at local hospitals to be able to even go there. It's not like it used to be, where you could be on the guest list, right, and you could just go. You could help women in labor with pain and delivering the baby. Now it's a little different in that you really need some privileges, and so not as much.
And how about just general? Where do you put acupuncture as part of just generalized health and wellness? And we're encouraged to go to our primary care doctor for prevention. Is there ideas regarding TCM and just health and wellness and tune-ups?
Sure.
What's your thoughts on who should go to an acupuncturist or a TCM practitioner on a regular basis?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Thank you. And let me start by saying that everybody should have acupuncture. It's gentle enough to where it's I would say 85-90% of everybody I treat falls asleep. It's gentle. It puts us into a very, very deep, the only way I can explain it, a very deep, earthy relaxation. It's very deep, and it's earthy. I know it's crazy. You won't know until you try it, but it's a sensation and a relaxation you've never felt before unless you've had acupuncture. It's wonderful. And essentially, I have people that come in 4 times a year just to stay healthy. And so when you have season changes, right? 4 seasons a year, that's when you need to build your strength and help your chi move through the season. And so 4 times a year to help you do that. That's kind of the baseline, right? But during cold and flu season, you want to make sure you keep yourself fit and strong. I did a Facebook Live Friday about wind and how to avoid wind pathogens. So, if you're struggling,
what was that?
wind pathogens. And,
Wind pathogens. Got it. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, and wind is very dangerous. It's a beautiful thing. I fly kites. I love to fly kites. A good windy day is fun, but we need to have our defenses against wind. Wind can get inside our body, just like, water. So, and it can bounce around, right? So it's, you got to be careful of wind, that's why we have scarves, right? And so, e- everyone should have acupuncture. It's gentle. And if you can keep your wind gates closed and you can keep your chi and blood levels strong to prevent pathogens and prevent illness, then you're staying healthy. You're and then all the work you do with yoga and deep breathing and meditation, it just adds on to that. So, I have a lot of people come in, once a week, once a month, just to stay healthy. And I encourage everyone to do that. I do.
So on both the male and female sides, acupuncture for fertility is beneficial. In which you've just kind of give a little summary that the 3 months prior to conception, even for those that are simply not experiencing that suffering from infertility, but those that are contemplating their fertility for the first time, they may benefit from realignment through traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture, and connecting. Now, Donald Clarke is at our CNY Healing Arts in Syracuse, 191 and 195 in Intrepid Lane, and been with us for more than 15 years, I think, and it really has been an important component of introducing and implementing this practice. Just a quick question on herbs and where do you put herbs in all this? Because I know that you do have some experience in herbal medicine. Is it something that people should be talking to you more about and asking you about? Maybe you could comment on that.
Sure. Herbs play a very important role in all of this. I like to cook with them, right? And so my approach to herbalism is cook with them in your food, make them part of your life, and they're gentle, so they take a little time to build into the system. Now, not everyone has time, right, to make herbs part of their system or part of their life, so that's why we have herbal formulations, and those herbal formulations come in various forms. There's powders, there's tablets, there's liquids, and so depending on what you prefer is how we would treat that. And what we think you need herbs for, what you think you need herbs for, and what maybe I think you need herbs for could be completely different. So upon pretty thorough consultation or conversation on why you would have herbs, depends on how we would approach that. And we do herbs.
And herbs are medicines, so you want to make sure you talk to someone like Donald to get the best advice on which herbs to utilize. So just thank you to you, Donald, to Yulia, Sonia, Mamie for joining us, and all those on Allison, Mrs. Venisam, Annie, Pokies, Fashion. I didn't even get a chance to say hello and gratitude to everyone. This is kind of interesting. Sunday, what I'm doing 3 Fertile Fireside Chat conversations with Kiltz and Don Clarke, and I'm going to be doing a Circle and Bloom at noon Eastern time today on our Facebook and YouTube, I think. But Donald, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
If people want to connect with you, do you have an email that they might be able to get some information, or it's CNY Healing Arts? I think they can find you for sure.
That's right. Yeah, it's D Clarke with an E, CLARKE at CNY Healing Arts. And please, on Wednesdays I do phone consultations, and so get on the schedule for a phone conversation, and we can talk directly, or email me, and I'd be happy to.
Are you doing a live weekly right now, or is from time to time? How are you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, on Fridays at 2:30, give or take a 20 minutes. I'm talking about topics within Chinese medicine and fertility and life.
Okay, so join Donald and check him out at D Clarke with an E at CNY Healing Arts. cnyhealingarts.com, and live from Friday, 2:30 on the CNY Healing Arts website. So God bless, and thank you, Don,
Thank you
for joining us. My gratitude to you always, and to everyone. Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
God bless. And always light up that beautiful journey of life with the spirituality. God bless.
Good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Donald.